Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The first set of North American Challengers qualifiers in done and dusted. 4 teams have officially locked themselves into the VCL for the upcoming season. Some pretty spectacular teams in here as well, but some big name players that's turned out over the weekends have not exactly locked themselves in, such as Sonofcar, who was absolutely frying yesterday, and apparently people are starting to say, get this guy in the VCT. Maybe he's the key to success for some of these rosters that are in the lower half. Very much into your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Plenty we've got to dive into. Firstly of all, Challengers Japan. Split 1 playoff finals they are doing on LAN in person here in Nagoya. This is really cool, and well, to be honest, in Challengers, we don't tend to see this level of support so much. Typically the way that it goes, Challengers begins, they play the entire season is done online, the playoffs are done online, you know, the kickoff, whatever they want to do for Challengers. Like last season, they had the mid-season tournament or whatever. It's all done online, and that's expected, you know, it's expensive to get everyone to LAN and all this type of stuff. But in Japan, Split 1 has a playoffs, as we can see here on the, 30th of March to 31st of March in Nagoya, where they're going to hold it, what looks like, at a venue, as you guys can see right here. So this is pretty spectacular. The Japanese fans always go wild for this type of stuff. So, I'm hoping really that as this trend is continuing in Japan, they might try and start this trend elsewhere as well, because Nagoya's been chosen as the host city for the Split 1 finals in Japan. Last year they did Osaka, they did Saitama. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but anyway, those are where they're going to be hosting it going forward, which is really cool. So it's like, okay, if they're doing that in Japan, can they not potentially try something similar in other regions? I know there's expense, because the way that it was last year, you do the entire Challenger season, and then once you qualify for Ascension, then you get to, they went to Brazil, right, to play the Ascension tournament on LAN in person, which is good, but arguably other parts of the Challenger season could also be done on LAN. In an ideal world, that of course would be the case. In Japan, they're pulling it off again. So maybe in other regions they can do something similar. Team SMG as well, they've decided to release their Game Changers team, which is pretty sad because these guys did very well actually. I know that they got a lot of support during their run not that long ago, but SMG are letting them go. There is questions as to whether, could Paper X or some other team that's interested maybe in getting into the Game Changer side have some spots open there. So we'll see if that one trends anywhere. But quickly on that region, actually, we did see this from DRX. So Stax, who is still on the team, of course, Zest is gone, RB is gone. They've made it, Flashback is coming in, and Foxy9 is in. There were some debates as to whether that would be their final iteration, but we'll stay tuned for that. DRX Stax, though, says the 2 teams that he's eyeing the most, as in teams that he's, thinking are going to be the best, or teams that he wants to beat the best, are the 2 Korean teams, Gen.G and T1. We will take them out. Just don't do anything in VALORANT as long as DRX is here, he said. Pretty funny stuff. And very interesting, actually, just because in that region, you would think that DRX's main target they might be looking at is Paper X, right? Theoretically, the number 1 team of that region, a team that they've come up against many a time. So just interesting to note, not like he, is denying that Paper X are any good, but the teams that he's really looking to take down are Gen.G and T1. So we'll see what happens there. Of course, DRX would be in a good spot on paper to qualify for Masters Madrid. Paper X, DRX, probably going as some of the top dogs, but early season, kind of anything can happen, I think, in some respects, and the way that these tournament formats are is challenging, to say the very least. Even as Comment points out, Flashback, who has just joined these guys, says the following: I'm 18 years old and I'll be the top fragger in the Pacific League. And Maker also says, if my aim was as good as his, I think we'd have won champions by now. So, lots of confidence there from Flashback. I thought this is actually really cool stuff. And, he was very impressive what we've seen from him so far. I think he's definitely been a good find for DRX. Whether that's enough with Flashback coming in and the changes they've made elsewhere to really take them to the next level, that's a question. But, they've had so many top 6s the last couple of years. Top 6, maybe sometimes top 4. That maybe this is going to be the key to turning that around going forwards. So we've got to talk, though, about how things concluded yesterday in the losers bracket of the North American Challengers qualifiers. This was a pretty ridiculous clutch here from Zachary, who, here we are in the icebox, of course, now back in the map rotation with not too many changes. Pulls out the ghost and somehow, I don't know what they were doing there, to be perfectly honest. To be fair, Sonofcar was on the other side. We're going to discuss him in a second. And look, that 13-37 team, the knocked out Shopify Rebellion, in, they were a big talking point of yesterday. So in the final matches, though, that ended up qualifying here, Winthrop University, who went down to Sad Esports in the upper side, they did win in the lower side versus Thinking Men, and they qualified officially through. So these guys are a collegiate team, so really cool to see how this is going. Of course, Game Changers teams, Game Changers players, at least such as Bob, qualify, making it through, and now we've got collegiate teams qualifying for challenges as well. The strength in depth here of this region is so impressive, and there's players that you guys probably heard of, Lear and Reformed on this other side, but these guys got the job done. 13-7, 13-8 in the end on Lotus. It was Jerk who had great quality gamer tag as well, and Narcy who had ridiculous games here. And the other lower round 6 game to qualify through to challenges was as follows: the Glazers versus 13-37. Now this is just such a funny team that I've got to address a little bit, because of course the Glazers is like as in if you're glazing right somebody else, which is kind of a common term that's been going around at the common parlance for a little while now. But also the Glazers are the owners of Manchester United, and if you guys don't know, I live in Manchester, so the Glazers aren't so popular around here, to be perfectly honest. So I thought this was really funny, and the Glazers 13-37. It went down to the wire, right? These were the guys that took down SR, so maybe in another universe SR ended up in this kind of decider game, but the Glazers were, I think, probably just a better team here, right? This is Drone and Zachary and those guys. We saw that in a second, but you've got to say that this Sonofcar guy, man, Fireball had a good series as well, and really this team was just the Sonofcar show, and the Glazers are actually like a proper roster really, and Ange had a great series here as well. But this map, unbelievable scene. So this was the icebox that we saw that Zachary had that clutch in, but Sonofcar dropped 40 frags this map on the chamber, like absolutely absurd stuff during the overtime, and they still lost the map, like unbelievable. If I was Sonofcar, I'd be mind blown. Then they played a Breeze and they actually won this one, and then they played Lotus, and Car again was kind of top fragging, but like this Sonofcar guy, what a just phenomenal gamer tag, and what a player, man. I mean, I could not believe 40 frags on the icebox for the loss. I mean, get this man some help, right? This was one example here. So here we are on the icebox. It's 13-12, and they needed Sonofcar to go big time. Just runs into the B site, pops a 3K, goes down, and obviously gets health regen as well by his Sage, and then he finishes off the final 2 kills as well. Just unbelievable individual play here from Sonofcar. Down 13-12, trying to tie up the overtime again at 13-13, and I mean, even look at the way that he closes out this ace as well. It was very nicely done. I guess at this point it's a 4v2, but just to open up the round with those 3 kills, to still lose the map is pretty tragic. Now, it's not over for these guys yet necessarily. They still have another chance, but having lost in this particular situation, it's difficult for them to qualify next time, but there will be other opportunities in a few days' time. And even here, it was getting kind of sketchy, right? Because look at this, it becomes a 2 versus 2, and Sonofcar manages to get the final 2 kills to close out the ace. And as people were saying, which I thought was kind of funny, Ye is just Sonofcar's alternate account, right? So, this guy, somehow, Ye's on here, and also BCJ says, first team to sign Sonofcar win champions. That's the thing, he's not qualified. They'll have another chance in a couple of days' time, but this is the type of performance that gets people talking about you, and all of a sudden, you might think, if you're a Challengers team that did qualify, you might think, well, we need maybe a chamber player or whatever, let's get this guy in, or obviously possibly even a VCT team, although that feels rather unlikely. So this poor guy had no help that map one pretty much. They lost it 16-14, eventually they go down, so the Glazers make it through, Winthrop University make it through, alongside of course we saw yesterday Sad Esports and YFP Gaming make it through. So that's basically it for now. Those are the 4 teams that have made it into stage 1, and all the other teams just about fell short. They will however get another chance. There's another open qualifier in a couple of days time, and then the second top 32 side of the open qualifier will be good enough to get the last couple of remaining spots. And that's when Sonofcar will be back in action, as of course will Shopify Rebellion in a few days' time. We've also got to mention though, the talent roster for the VCT Americas. This is actually really stacked, and I thought it was really great to see Shazam was in here. I thought this was really cool. So this is the list that we have. So pretty much the usual suspects. Baby Bay is here. Also to see Elizabeth Marchini, who I thought was really nice as well, because I know that she's been, doing lots of work in VALORANT for the last several years and wanted to find her way onto the broadcast. She's now getting involved. The fact that as well we have Uber, because I think like top Overwatch caster, right? And the fact that he's coming in here is going to be really interesting. There's a few interesting picks here, to be fair. Sad that Sean Gayes is in there. I think Sean Gayes is quality, so bit of a shame, I thought. But the rest of it I thought was very well done. And, having Athena, Mel, and certainly Shazam as like guest analysts, I thought was really nice as well. So really cool stuff, I thought, across the board here. Getting Shazam involved on the analysis side here. But I did also want to mention for you guys before we close out the video, because this has just gone live, actually, is the VALORANT Champions Tour China kickoff bracket. So this was due to be confirmed at some point today. And I refreshed Twitter and a couple of guys pointed out to me that it's now a done deal. So here we go, the VCT China group draw. This is like, maybe it's more or less interesting depending on what you want to say than the other regions, just because again, how the hell do you come up with the seedings for this group? At least in the other regions, you can justify some sort of a group transition phase here. But in this situation, it's like, well, who are the number one teams? It's obviously got to be Edward. Like, Edward have to take the number one seed as the best Chinese team from last year. So they do get the number one seed here in the C2 slot, really, which is they'll play the winner of BLG or Wolves. So still, that's pretty interesting, right? I mean, BLG, they were one or the other, Billy Gaming. They took that at LG pretty famously. So that is, assuming BLG were to win, they'd play EDG. Winner of that goes to playoffs. Loser of that goes to the play-ins. And at least if you win again. And therefore, that takes you through to the play-ins, which you then have to win against the other play-in teams. Then you get to the playoffs. It's the same story in all the regions. So, yeah, we've got BLG, Wolves, Edward Gaming. We've got Trace Esports, Tyloo, FPX, the Nova guys up in the Group A. So that's a pretty interesting group. And then Group B is JDG, the Titan Esports Club, Dragon Ranger Gaming, of course, that were the team that qualified through the Ascension side, and then like the All Gamers. So again, it's like the Ascension qualified team DRG. I think we have generally seen in most regions that Ascension team is in Group C down here, but that's not the case. They're in Group B. So I just don't really know how they come up with these ideas, but I think the groups look, to be honest, it's difficult to say the relative strength of these teams. To me, the groups feel relatively balanced here, but I think the Group C is actually pretty interesting with BLG, Wolves, and EDG all in the same group there. That's going to be kind of exciting, but very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.